here. So I got about an hour. The family took off for town to, well, it doesn't matter. They went off to go run some errands. That's what they went to go do. Anyway, thought I would do a video for you guys, come out here and do a live stream talking about how the Federal Reserve lost economic control with the adjustment of monetary policy. Now, this is something that I have been covering quite a bit on this channel lately, and if you've been following me for any length of time, you're going to pretty much know all the information that I'm going to cover, but I think reiterating this information over and over again sometimes is pretty helpful for a lot of people, because not always do they catch every one of my videos, so they don't get all the information, and a lot of times I say it in a way that finally clicks for a lot of people. And so I just want to keep getting this information out there and keep making videos about it, and hopefully the information gets out there enough for the people to truly understand what it is that the Federal Reserve is up to, because the idea of what the Federal Reserve is going to do going into the future has really nothing to do with monetary policy, but yet everybody believes it does. And this is really where it's just like so confusing to most people, because if you understand what gaslighting is, that's what the Federal Reserve is doing. They are gaslighting the public to believe what it is that they are up to, or believe what it is that is happening within the economy, that then drives them crazy in a sense, because they really truly don't know what's going on. And you can see it within the article that I leave down in the description, where people are revising their strategies, their outlook, their ideas of what it is that the Federal Reserve is going to do, because they are so confused by what it is. Now, the Federal Reserve, in the way that they conducted themselves pretty much all the way up until the pandemic, was with the adjustment of interest rates. Now, during the great financial crisis, the monetary policy had essentially come to an end, right? The adjustment of interest rates had fallen down to the lower bound of zero. Now, what that means is that the Federal Reserve uses something called the Fed funds rate to adjust interest rates in the broader economy. Now, this adjustment of Fed funds rate is a very confusing thing, because it's really not something that is done by a government entity, even though a lot of times we want to think of it by government regulations or standards or participation or something of that nature. It's not like that. If you can just imagine the Federal Reserve being in control of the financial system. So if loans want to be made, it's the Federal Reserve who is pretty much in control of that aspect of our lives. Now, you could really conduct yourself and live a life where you don't participate with the Federal Reserve, as far as don't borrow money, right? Don't really take a job where you get a W-2, right? You have to like do things that makes you excluded from anything that is really going on out there when it comes to having a job or saving for a retirement or doing all these other things, right? It's all under the regulation and the oversight of the Federal Reserve. Now, it doesn't have to be that way. You could take control of your life and say, hey, I'm not doing any of that. I recognize all these things, and then I'm going to put my stuff into things that are excluded away from that. Like you could go into gold, you can go into assets that are outside of dollar denomination or something of that nature. It's very difficult to operate like that. Everything, all your bills, all the other people who operate out there, they all work under the regulations of the Federal Reserve. So this is the reason why they are the ones who seemingly are in control of the economy. Now, if they have no control over monetary policy, then they have lost control over the economy. Now, monetary policy is the adjustment of those interest rates. So if we can think about the federal funds rate, which is the Fed's controlling of interest rates in the broader economy, as control of the economy. Now, that's not exactly right, but that's about as close as we can get, because really the economy is the decisions that you and I make based on whatever it is that we have going on in our lives. Now, accumulatively, together, we generally use interest rates or loans or something to either buy houses or cars or whatever, start businesses. Because of that, we are then reliant upon the Federal Reserve, right? Unless we have rich uncles, which most of us don't. So again, understanding what it is that the Federal Reserve is doing with monetary policy is critical to and impactful to our daily lives. Now, adjustment of those monetary policy of the Fed funds rate, how they do that is in the banking system, right? And now this monetary policy adjustment was working out swimmingly from the early 80s all the way until recently when they hit that lower bound of zero. Now, when they hit it, everything was cool at that moment. Everybody was freaking out. I mean, but as far as the Fed's ability to continue on with monetary policy, everything was cool at the moment because of the situation that was at hand. The great financial crisis gave them the ability to fire up this quantitative easing, and everybody lost their damn mind, right? And they said, oh my gosh, look at all this money printing and all this stuff that's going on. Well, when that took place, the inflation expectations that started running rampant through the people kept the economy going. And I know this sounds really odd, but this is really where the Federal Reserve was looking for. See, inflation expectations being persistent going into the future is where the Federal Reserve can then use for their monetary policy when they hit the lower bound of zero, because stimulating the economy becomes very difficult with the lowering of interest rates. But if you have a belief that inflation is going to be running rampant into the future, you will be willing to spend your money today. If you lower interest rates to zero, and have loans available out there, and you have an inflation expectation that is running persistent, even if you cannot stimulate the economy by getting people going, wow, these are really low interest rates, I'm really gonna take advantage of the situation, because you couldn't lower them enough, the idea that you have an inflation expectation running persistent into the future will then spark you into borrowing money so that you could participate in the economy today and then take care of the downturn in the economy that would be happening. You see what's happened there? Like, the actual lowering of interest rates doesn't work, but the belief of a higher inflation and a accommodative situation with interest rates will then get you moving into it. Now, that worked great during the great financial crisis, right? So that monetary policy was still effective as far as getting the economy stimulated enough to carry on. When it came to the pandemic, something very different happened, right? Because they were out of monetary policy. The lowering of interest rates to zero was done. Like, that was not going to stimulate the economy. See, people, even if they had believed that the inflation was going to be running persistent, right? Even if they had believed it, it still wasn't going to be enough to carry the Federal Reserve and their monetary policy continuing forward. And this is really where it gets very difficult to understand, because it's now a shift in how it is that they operate, because this lowering of interest rates is really easy to understand, but the idea of lowering interest rates to stimulate the economy is difficult, right? See, you can say, hey, I would lower interest rates to stimulate the economy. Yes, that makes sense. But how do you lower interest rates when you're already at zero or very close to zero? It makes it very difficult. You can't. And that's what they were facing at the pandemic. And so monetary policy had to come to a change. And this is where the Federal Reserve started doing something that was very different from anything that they had ever done before. And it had a lot to do with their communications and what it was that they were saying to the public and what it was that the public was believing out there. And now, if you go and you listen to a lot of the things that the Federal Reserve is saying and doing, it has almost nothing to do with the actual adjustments of interest rates, but the talking about the adjustment of interest rates. And this is important. This is important to understand, because they learn how to use their communications to then conduct themselves within the economy. You know, it's like, it's almost to the point that you have to take into consideration that they're not going to do anything. But nobody knows that. And because nobody knows that they're not going to do anything, but everybody believes that they're going to do something, you have to listen to their words and what it is that they're communicating out there to the public, because whatever it is that the public believes that has taken place will be the action that begins to take place within the economy. The Fed doesn't have to do anything. See, we noticed this at the end of the year, and at the end of last year. That dot plot that came out was so telling of how heavy people linger on every communication that's coming out of the Federal Reserve. They actually communicated within the speech that Jefferson gave the other day, last week, on how the people became, or how that particular communication was incredibly volatile to the markets. He described about that. Now, this is, again, this is important to understand because people were asking me about it. It was just like, how many interest rate cuts are there going to be? There's not a matter of if, but, when. And I'm like, no, it's definitely a matter of if. Like, even with that dot plot map showing 7 interest rate cuts coming into the future, that doesn't say anything other than that communication was an impact to the markets that totally got them to react. People started buying houses, taking out mortgages. They were believing that they could refinance into the future. So now we find this communication is the true monetary policy. See, they lost control using interest rate adjustments. They don't even care. They found that communications work even during times in which that they could adjust interest rates. They don't need to do it anymore. They have control over the markets through their communications. That plot map, that dot plot thing, I find that such a humorous thing. That was one of the tools that the Federal Reserve was using to enhance their communications. You think about it, there was a time the Fed said nothing to the public, to the markets, to nobody. In fact, an interest rate adjustment would take place and people would wake up one day and just realize it happened. They were like, whoa, right? There was no forward guidance. There was no communication. And then when they did communicate, it was very obscure and very difficult to understand. Now they're out there just spitting it out there just about every single day. You can find another interview from another Fed governor or some other kind of communication that has taken place. These are the tools. Those so-called town meetings, the speaking engagements, all the stuff that they are doing, those are all the tools for monetary policy. Now, when they're talking about the adjustment of interest rates, right? That communication is the monetary policy. This is really where the impact to the economy is mostly delivered, right? And in fact, it's more about that than anything else. And that's what's crazy, what's going on now, because everybody is so focused in. Like, they will hear these words that I am saying right now, and then at the end of it, when are they going to adjust interest rates? That will be the very next question they ask. And it's just like, ugh, it doesn't matter, right? That part doesn't matter. The part that matters is how people feel about it, right? And this is really where you are the one who is literally speaking another language, right? Because everybody else is so stuck on the idea of where it is and when it is that the Federal Reserve is going to be adjusting interest rates. It's not that part that matters. They are the ones who are literally falling into the Fed's monetary policy tool of adjusting interest rates through their communications. And the person who is sitting there going, when are they going to do it? Right? They are the ones who are then being guided through that monetary policy, not knowing when it is or what it is or whatever that's going on, not realizing it's literally the communication within itself. Yeah. I mean, you listen to them right now. I mean, 6 months ago, just about every single one of those Fed governors were going, well, I don't know, I'm believing there's going to be a bunch of interest rates cuts going into the future. And then now they're like, well, I mean, gee whiz, it's like inflation's running hot. We're probably not going to cut, or maybe not that much. I mean, it's just like I knew they were going to do this. Like, they actually kind of described it before they started doing this. All right, man, I'm really babbling away here. We got 196 people watching with 37 likes. Go hit that like button, everybody. We should be up to at least 100 likes right now. If you hit that like button, the algorithm will pick up the video and spread it around for more people to join in. Salutes and respect to the uneducated and the chat. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for that. Long Beach, Joe Jets. All right. Brody says, hi, Simon and everyone. Right on. Nice to see you. All right. The Cold Reaper. Yes, I caught alive. Right on. Glad to see you. Good afternoon. Glad to catch one live. Yeah, glad to see you, Brad. All right. Boat day. Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's definitely a day to be out there on the boats. All right, keep on keeping on. Good afternoon, Simon. Well, good afternoon, Crypto Beauty. Hello, everyone, she says. All right, USDA snap cards are the invisible bread lines from the 1930s. About 12% of the U.S. population is in those invisible bread lines. Yeah, and this is something that I actually, and I shouldn't do this, but, if you make it available for me to witness, then I'm going to do it, right? But when I work retail sales, I literally stand at a counter and I ring people up at the counter, hey, 15, 25, right? So when I see people open up their wallets, you would not believe it's called, like here in Oregon, it's called an Oregon Trail card, right? And it's very recognizable. You can see it. It's like a light blue color. And generally within most people's wallets, it sits like right at the very top, right? So that's their EBT card. And I am absolutely amazed by how many people I see carrying one of those. And it's people that I typically wouldn't expect. I've never had one. Even as broke as I was and all the other stuff, I never once ever applied for any kind of government assistance on anything that I have ever had. Ever. It's like I've never done it. And I mean, I probably should have, right? But I didn't do it. I guess I was too proud. But anyway, I'm still amazed by how many people I see with these things. And it's just incredible because like I think about it and I'm like, man, it is like a lot of people. And when it comes to food, if you have a subsidy like an EBT and as many people who are buying food with it, they are spending money that is not theirs. They don't have to work for it. Then what am I trying to kind of get at here? Because of the EBT, it gives a buying power to food that typically wouldn't be there. And because of that buying power that is there, the prices are a lot higher than they should be. So when people are complaining about food prices, it's due to the subsidies that are going into the food by giving that money to the poor. Now, I know that's really like difficult for a lot of people to hear and understand, but that's the truth of the matter. Right? If those people were not having access to that kind of money to buy the food, then the price of the food would not be as expensive as it is. There would be a lot less food being purchased, granted, right? So then the prices would come down. That's how it works. Anything that you give money towards is going to have an obscurity to it, right? If you try to, enhance this group with it, they are going to obscure another part of things. It's just the way it goes. All right. Super chat there. Let's go check that out. We got one from City Star Productions, man. Thank you so much for all these super chats you've been hitting me with, man. All right, $4.99. How can you decipher which information is monetary policy versus the real thoughts on the economy? Well, understanding like what it is that conducts their monetary policy to begin with, right? And knowing like a few different parts of it, like the neutral interest rate and the neutral employment rate. Like these are two different rates that are very important to the Federal Reserve and how it is that inflation is found within the economy. Now, if you could, oh man, my knee is really sore. I twisted my knee the other day and it's just like, anyway. So if you could imagine like stimulating the economy here, let me see if I could like just make it kind of simple. If you could imagine this line is 0, right? That's 0. And back in the early 80s, you had an elevated neutral interest rate. Okay? Regardless if it was employment or just the Fed funds rate, whatever, right? You had an elevated neutral interest rate. It was, say, let me see if I can do this. It was way up here. This was the neutral interest rate, right? And inflation was running really high, so they took the Fed funds rate way elevated. They took it up to here, right? Way above the neutral interest rate, and that restricted the economy. Okay. Time goes on, they adjusted interest rates down adjusting interest rates down stimulates the economy, right? Eventually, neutral interest rate gets very close to zero, right? It's like right here. And so stimulating the economy, once you hit the lower bound of zero with the Fed funds rate, becomes very difficult. See, like before, if you had the neutral interest rate way up here and you drop the interest rate significantly, you could get below the neutral interest rate quite a bit. So stimulating the economy with the dropping of interest rates is very difficult, because trying to get below the neutral interest rate significantly becomes almost impossible because you hit the lower bound of zero. So the adjustment of interest rates doesn't work. Just like kind of understand that. So when it comes to like what's the difference, the idea that they can adjust interest rates to stimulate the economy means they need to get below the neutral interest rate, which is really close to zero. Now, granted, the longer that time goes on and the inflation expectation stays elevated, the neutral interest rate will begin to rise, right? It will move up. And at that sense, then it becomes less restrictive to the economy if the Federal Reserve was to stay still. So just keep that in mind, how that all works. And now, even if the Federal Reserve was to lower interest rates today, they're still not going to be in a stimulative fashion, which a lot of people would immediately think. It was just like, okay, lowering interest rates is stimulating. But that's not it. It has to be in correlation to where they are in the neutral interest rate category. Now, when it comes to stimulating the economy with employment, right, lowering the interest rates within the broader economy sparks the economy into investment into businesses and buildings and things going on, and part of that is employment. So when low interest rates finally finds its way into the economy, and it finds its way into those businesses, and those businesses start to invest within employment, then you start finding people hired, and those people start going off there and consuming. Once you have new money, get raises, increase your standard of living, means that you're increasing your consumption. Once you increase your consumption, the supply-demand imbalances begin to take place and prices move up. And this is how the Federal Reserve conducts itself. So there's two interest rates that they're following there, right? So you got the neutral interest rate on the Fed funds rate, which is neither accommodating nor restricting the economy, which has come very close to zero, almost zero, and a lot of people said that it was zero. Right? It's anywhere from 0 to 1.5% is what a lot of people were saying on that. Now, again, like some economists were saying that it was at 2.5%, and some say that it's rising right now. However, there's no real telling of where the neutral interest rate is, and this is really what makes it like even harder to understand. So now we move into the employment. There's employment neutral interest rate, right? Where they are neither accommodating nor restricting the economy by producing inflation, or restricting the inflation by where we are with the employment numbers. And if the employment neutral interest rate is very close to zero, then how do you stimulate the economy? You have a very difficult time. Even if you have historically low unemployment numbers, like we did at the end of the Trump administration, we still won't have inflation. There's no inflation. The Fed should be printing money, even though we had historically low unemployment. So the monetary policy as the Fed knew it, gone. Doesn't work. Not anymore. All right. And I mean, it's just right there. It's like, once you hit the lower bound of zero, the neutral interest rate is close to zero, stimulating the economy becomes almost an impossibility. But the idea of what they can do does work. And that's what's crazy about it. It literally comes down to our perception of what it is that has taken place. This is the gold machine in full action, right? A lot of you remember the gold machine story from Ben Bernanke's speech given back in 2002, talking about how to prevent deflation from ever occurring here in the United States. And part of that was with the gold machine, or the idea of a gold machine. And he uses this parable of a guy who invents this machine that can produce as much gold at will with very little cost or energy. And the moment this information gets out there to the markets, the price of gold would plummet, even before the guy produces a single ounce of gold. even before he has the machine to do it. Just the credible threat that he can would be enough to start guiding the markets. And that little story right there is the basis of how our economy functions today. And it's so nuts to think about. Like, people want it to be very mechanical. They want it to be 1 + 1 = 2. How hard is that to describe? Like, that's what people ask of me all the time, but I'm trying to explain to them it doesn't work like that. It literally comes down to our perception, psychological control of what it is that we think about the economy. That's one of the reasons why they keep going for this 2% target, right? Or the media keeps pushing this 2% target. It doesn't exist. There's no 2% target. The Federal Reserve said it. They said appropriate monetary policy would likely to achieve an inflation that is modestly above 2% for some time. That's their monetary policy. I mean, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There is no target, right? A target would mean that they are actually shooting for something that has a target of 2%. To modestly achieve inflation above 2% for some time means that they are not going for a 2% target. They're going modestly above it. I mean, if you had a rifle and you were shooting for a 2% and they said, no, modestly above 2%, you're no longer shooting for 2%, are you? That means it's not a target. That means everybody who believes it is delusional. They don't have it right. And it doesn't matter, because believing that there is a 2% target is the Fed's monetary policy. And as long as everybody continues to believe that, they get to continue to function the way that they are functioning. It's crazy to think about. Like, it took me so long to figure this out, right? And I mean, I kept trying, like, because I had the same questions you all have. I had the same beliefs that you all had about, like, the politics of it all, the debt of it all, how all that stuff works. I mean, I had all the exact same questions and beliefs about it. But the more I studied this, the more I listened to them, the more I started hearing about what it was that they were up to, and I realized, man, you guys were in a panic. I mean, the Federal Reserve was losing, like, back in 2002, they were like, God, here in a few years, we are going to hit the lower bound and we are going to be screwed. What are we going to do? And Ben Bernanke was like, I got this idea. You guys aren't going to believe it, but I bet you we can trick the people. I bet you we can get them to believe in a particular way that then we can conduct ourselves with our monetary policy. And everybody back then was probably like, yeah, right, good luck with that. And then here we are. It's just it's incredible to see. I feel like I'm like the only one who really talks like this, because I just don't see anybody else using it within, like, any articles I read coming from the mainstream media or anything. I don't find a lot of people who discuss it like I do. And I'm surprised, because it's it's very clear through the communications that they are having that this is what they are doing. It's like, I can't see it any other way. All right, 77 thumbs up. Let's get it up to 100. We got 240 people watching right now. Send Uneducated Economist on to Timcast IRL. Huh. Interesting. I got to go through anybody who has sent me an email. I will go through all my emails here real soon. I have just been overwhelmed with them, and I open up my email and it's just like, oh my gosh, look at all these things. How do I reply to them? I could literally spend probably 2 or 3 days straight just going through and answering emails. So, I mean, literally, I'm like going on 3 weeks behind now on a bunch of these things. I almost missed George Gammon's email to me, who has invited me to go speak at the Rebel Capitalist. Now, I haven't confirmed that yet, but I got the email of the invitation to do that, and I immediately replied to that one saying, yes, please, dude, I would love to go down there and speak on stage for the Rebel Capitalist group. That just, like, God, what an honor, right? Okay. Why more than 60% of Americans think that inflation in the economy is bad when the Fed is having speeches on how great things are? Are they having speeches on how great things are? I don't know. I don't think I actually have ever read a speech on how great things are. Now, most individuals would probably look at inflation as a bad thing because of how devastating it is to their daily like living expenses, right? And that makes total sense. Like, I mean, most people suffer under the consequences of a high inflationary scenario. Now, I can't think of any time during or after the great financial crisis that the inflationary scenario was so bad that it actually was devastating to the point that people would be complaining about it like they are now or today, right? It was bad. Like, I was one of the people. Like, I dumped all my money into silver thinking that inflation was going to be running rampant and killing us all, right? Like, totally believed that. Now, by the end of Trump's administration, he was screaming there's no inflation. The Federal Reserve was begging for inflation. They were looking for it everywhere. The balance sheet increase of, from $850 billion to $4.5 trillion failed to produce the inflationary scenario they were looking for. The Fed was desperate for it. They wanted it bad. Now, individually, as like an individual, we don't necessarily look at as inflation in the same sense that they do, right? And it's not important to necessarily to understand it from a good or bad direction. It's better to understand it as it is, right? Like, I mean, I don't like so many times now, especially when like the early days when I was studying the economy, I looked at things as like a good or bad, or you know, like a painful or not painful. I don't know, something of that nature. I just don't see it so much like that anymore. I just kind of look at it as it is. Like, does anybody really like the rain, right? I mean, nobody really likes the rain. Everybody loves it when it's sunny. It's sunny out right now. But right now it's really sunny and it's not really comfortable sitting here. The sun is beating down on me. It's kind of hot. I don't really feel good. If it was raining, I wouldn't be thinking about any of that right now. In fact, I would probably be doing my video like normal, not even caring if it was raining out. So which one is the good one or bad one, right? I mean, it's a sunny day. It's beautiful. Everybody wants a sunny day, right? But right now, I'm not necessarily enjoying the sunny day. Like, I would be if I wasn't necessarily doing this, which I want to do this. But if it was raining, I wouldn't even be thinking about the weather, right? But now because it's sunny, I'm not necessarily in a pleasant experience. You kind of get where I'm at here. It's all on the meaning that you're giving it. It's all on the position that you have given yourself. Right? Most of the time, 99.9% of the time, I would be like, I want sunny weather, right? But not at this moment. This is the 0.9%, 0.1% of the time that I would want it to be raining because I would be more comfortable right now doing this. That's it, right? Just, it's all about the meaning you're giving it. All right, let's check out that other super chat we got going. Whoop, did I just pass? Yeah, I did. Robert Shields, thank you so much for the $4.99. Do you pets know anyone in your industry that had gotten significant raise to keep up with inflation? I'm guessing you're not meaning pets there, but do I know anyone in the industry who had gotten significant raises to keep up with inflation? To be honest with you, Robert, yeah, like pretty much everybody I know who is working day jobs, like 9 to 5ers, all seem to be making more money than they were prior to the pandemic, right? So now whether or not it kept up, like their raises kept up with inflation, I mean, I don't know, but like, I know for me, like in my employment, yeah, we all got raises, and to be honest with you, I get paid pretty well to do what I do. I mean, I ain't complaining. That's all I guess I'm saying. And I know other people who are somewhat in the same position, right? And this is actually what's really hurting a lot of these companies is that they increased a lot of the wages that they were paying in order to retain their employees so that they wouldn't go find other jobs some other places when there was employee shortages. And because of that, the slowdown in the economy now has them with higher, input costs going into their business through the labor part of things. So, it's just like that's one of the issues that a lot of companies are facing today. It's the labor input cost. All right. $1.99 from E. All right, thanks, E. Thanks to Obamacare, my rent is more. F Obama. Huh. Wow, that's a. Jesus, that was a long time ago. All right. Well, here's the thing, bro. Let me ask you this. Since you wanted to blame it on Obama, which I totally get, man. I mean, why not? Let's blame it on Obama. Republicans have and had and could have reformed and not replaced it. Right? See, they didn't like it before it existed, but now Republicans want to play with it too. Right? Now, I'm not like saying anything about like where we should be with healthcare and what it is now and comparatively to what it was when he started it. All I guess I'm getting at is that can of worms was opened up, and that was that. Right? Now, you can have a situation where in the forefront, right? In the media screenplay that they are putting out there for everybody to see, they can say, hey, we're battling this out to try and prevent this from happening. And no, we need this to happen because liberals think Republicans just want everybody to die. And I don't know, like, whatever arguments that were going on back there. But in the background, they were thinking, okay, so once this thing passes, we're going to have, like, we can start really throwing regulations around and then use this as another part of our manipulation tools within the people out there by guiding their, perception of what it is that we have, control over and what it is that we're going to do here. Like, it's the same thing that they always do with anything else out there. That's why I don't like politics. It's why I don't follow that stuff. It's like why I tried, like probably one of the reasons why I never got an EBT card is because I just try not to involve myself in what they got going on. Like, I try to exclude myself as much as possible to make them as little importance in my life as I can. Because the less we make importance of them, the less significant, the more insignificant, right? So if they have no significance on my life, then they're insignificant in reality. The moment that we give it importance, it's their fault. That's important. Man, that's significance. All right, moving on. We got Django Geek. Thank you so much for the $5. Page 61 of September 2011 FOMC meeting transcript. President Lockhart says balance sheet tools don't stimulate bank lending and calls them psyops. Really? Oh, man, that's pretty cool. I'll write that down right now. Page 61 of the 2011 FOMC meeting. Okay, cool. What did you say? Balance sheet tools? Okay. I'm going to check that out. Thank you. Don't stimulate. That would be cool to read. Man, 61. How did you find that, bro? All right, moving on. All right, we're almost up to 100. We got 96 likes, guys. Let me cruise down here. Say all night, what's happening? Patsy Titian's more like it. Yeah. This country is ruled by kakastocracy. What is that? All right, blaming Obama for your rent hike. I laugh my ass off. Yeah, I totally laugh too. Why can't the government figure out healthcare and education? Well, okay, so let me ask you something. Why is it that the government should be involved in your healthcare and education? Why is it for them to figure that out? I mean, that seems like, asking for an external to figure out what it is that you need to do with your life. Like, I understand that it would be nice if we had a general healthcare. Like, I get the belief of it. Like, I understand the social benefit of having something of that nature. Like, I get it, right? In I mean, I would love to have facilities out there that are just something that I can just walk into and say, hey, man, this is like a wonderful facility that is totally going to take care of all my health needs. I mean, it would be great to have a society like that. Could we have that? Sure. We could have a symbiotic kumbaya, everybody get together and make this work, but it doesn't work like that. Never in the history of time has it worked like that. I mean, I think back to that tablet, right? That Roman tablet that we talked about, I don't know, in yesterday's video or whatever, where the guy, the average Roman dude, was carving into a tablet, one of these stone tablets, the conditions of his everyday life. And he had three major concerns. Where does he get his next meal? What happens if he gets sick? And how does he pay the rent? Like, these things don't change, you know? Education, I mean, this cell phone right here has taught me so much about economics. You realize, like, I never took a class on economics. I never read a textbook on economics. Like, the only two books I ever read was Cantillon's essay on economic theory and The Creature from Jekyll Island. That's it. Those are the only two books on economics I have ever read. It's crazy to think, right? People think that I must have like a library just stacked full of books on all this stuff that I have read. I haven't. I've taken in a lot of perspective, like a lot of information from a lot of different perspectives, right? I've listened to a lot of authors talk about the economy. I've listened to a lot of YouTube videos. I've followed a lot of different people at times, right? And I have come up with my own understanding, my own beliefs, my own like theories on what it is that's taking place within the economy. And I'm kind of amazed that I don't find more people talking the way that I do. This is like, I don't know, maybe it was from being on the boots on the ground and not having been educated within the economy or within the teachings of the economy. And I just learned just this esoteric thinking just all on my own. Maybe that's why I have just this different view. I mean, it's like literally freestyling and the understanding of it. Thank you for hitting that like button. We got it up to 104 people. Really appreciate that. We got the algorithm spreading it around some. We got 253 people watching right now. Yoli Guacamole, thank you so much for that $10. Another great video. You should connect with Jack Morgan, RLP. He does all types of reaction videos, including the economy. Yeah, it would be. I should do a lot more speaking or interviews with people. I did one with Mike Zuber this morning. That was a lot of fun. I don't know when he has that one posted, but I'm sure it'll come out here in the next day or so. Oh, excuse me. Okay. The Anti-Crony Capitalist. I like the name. All right. I have been poor and I have been so-called rich. God is there through it all. Well, okay. I have never, ever been in a position in which that I could ever call myself even remotely close to rich, right? Never. Now, I've done pretty well at times, and there's other times where I was not doing well at all. Now, what I found very interesting about the times that I wasn't doing very well at all, I was actually doing a lot better than I give myself credit for. Like, I didn't have a lot in the way of income, but I had a hobby farm going where I had a lot of like things going on there. I was tending to animals and dealing with gardening and just kind of having that for a hobby. Not only was it taking up my time, but it was also somewhat entertaining, right? And having that going on, I had a lot of like really good food to eat. So like I didn't really like worry about eating, like having food, which most people, that's their number one concern is, whether or not they're going to be able to eat, right? Just like the Roman guy with his tablet. And, just kind of living that life, I think I've actually lived a healthier life to begin with, right? You're outside digging in the dirt, playing with the animals, eating healthy food, eating fresher foods. So my health was doing better. My only problem is that my stable life was not there because of my housing conditions and what I had going on with that. That was my problem. So just like everybody else faces out there, you could probably deal with a couple of them, but you can't necessarily deal with all of it, right? And this is something that everybody is going to face. So I actually really enjoyed my life when didn't have much going on. I enjoyed that hobby farm. I enjoyed the gardening and the animals and you know, just doing that every day. I didn't have time to do YouTube videos or research or any of that other stuff going on. Like I didn't have any time for that stuff. So I have a completely different life now. And of course, things are stable. You know, I mean, I have plenty to eat. I'm not necessarily worried about having food. That's, kind of, you know, easy enough to deal with. My wife works as well. She's a great shopper when it comes to that kind of thing. But I have to spend a lot of time doing research and connections and making videos and doing other stuff that kind of takes me away from the things that was kind of pleasurable from back in the day. And so the stresses are still around, right? No matter what you do. It's just the different perspective on how you look at it. It's the meaning that you're giving it again, right? Yeah, it's nice to be able to pay my bills. And that was the one thing that I really wanted. Like out of all of it, like I didn't dream of being on stage and being able to speak my ideas to people with the idea that I was going to make $1 million or something off of it. I don't even have a money idea at all. Like the money is not something that I even think about at all. Like I try to, and I don't do very well. Like, I mean, soon the moment that I start trying to think of the money, it becomes very burdensome. I find myself putting up, like, I almost find myself feeling resistance the moment that I start to chase it, right? Just like anything out there, the moment that you start to chase it, it will resist. If you really, really want it, means you really, really need it. And needing it means that you have a negative energy towards it. And that's what's the crazy part about like anything in life, anything in the universe, man. It's just like, I didn't, 2 days ago, I didn't know I was going to be invited to the Rebel Capitalist to speak. I mean, I dream of the next time I get to be on stage, spitting my stuff out. And I didn't know. Here it is. Boom. Here's your opportunity, man. There it was. The universe has presented it to you. And okay, here we go. Right? Yeah, let's do it. Let's not back out. Like, I mean, you don't get to back out now, even if you're not prepared or nothing. You just got to go for this now. This is how it works. Bright Night Drive. Thank you very much for the $4.99. You are now addicted to learning the economy instead of being addicted to something harmful like alcohol. You are great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Bright Night Drive. That's exactly it. Like I have always been fascinated with like collecting coins, and I always collected like wheat pennies. Um, I loved it when my wife, she would tend bar, so she would bring home like a silver quarter every once in a while and something, and I would just like, oh yeah, silver quarters are cool. And so I always had this idea of collecting currency, like just it was just fun for me, foreign coins and stuff. And when I realized, like, man, I need to figure out, like, to have a hobby in my life and to figure out this money, right? These were two things that I wanted in my life. Like, I wanted a hobby and I wanted to figure out money. And so I was just like, well, that's easy enough. Just make a hobby out of money, right? Collecting money, currencies, coin collecting, learning about fiat currencies and understanding how the economy works. And then that's how I did it. Like I literally did it for fun, you know, which is kind of weird to think, but that's literally how I did it. I just did. And also, I did it a bit out of a frustration too, because like when my house was going into foreclosure and stuff, I was like, what the hell's going on here? All-nighter hider, thank you. Put a lot of effort into this. It's appreciated. All-nighter hider does put a lot into this. There's always a way to speak your mind, even if that's writing it on paper and sticking it to a wall downtown. What's going on now and why my economics? I'm all fat and sassy after lunch. Right on. Hey Josh, what are your thoughts on BRICS and the Democratization of the global trade. I don't know if you're asking me that question or if you're asking somebody else in the chat here, but I've had a lot of opinion about the BRICS nations, and I honestly look at the BRICS nation as not much of a threat at this point. There's a couple of things that you really have to take into consideration when it comes to what it is that the United States has done and is doing that is far different from what any other nation is even remotely close to coming to do, right? And so we have to really understand that the currency that is being used across the globe is the dollar. It's the world reserve currency. Now, it doesn't have to be the dollar. Like anything can be a world reserve currency. I give you that. But there isn't. It's just the dollar, right? The dollar is the world reserve currency, and there's nothing else that even remotely comes close to it. Now, the problem that any other nation is going to face when it comes to trying to compete against the dollar is that if you try and introduce something that is a good currency, like a gold-backed BRICS nation currency, then what people are going to do is they are going to hoard that currency and use the dollar. Like, just take it into consideration for yourself, right? If you had a gold coin in one hand and a bunch of dollars in the other, and I'm at my store and I'm going to sell you something, and you're like, hey man, which one do you want? And I'm looking at the gold coin, and I look at the paper currency, and I look at you, and I say, I'll take either one. Which one would you give me? I mean, are you really going to give me that gold coin? Or are you going to give me those dollars, right? You're probably going to give me the dollars and hoard that gold coin for yourself. And that's exactly with the same answer that I have gotten just about every single time I have asked anybody that question, right? Very rarely would anybody give up the gold coin. So knowing that this gold coin or the good currency would be hoarded away, the bad currency, the dollar, would be the ultimate currency that is going to be used, right? Because bad money chases out good. This is called Gresham's law. Now, you can't introduce a bad currency. That wouldn't make sense, right? I mean, like, are you going to, like, here, why don't you use Zimbabwe dollars? If that would work, then people would be using them. Nobody wants to use a bad currency. So in order for a good currency to take over the bad currency has to fail. It has to fail completely. And then the good currency will come in and chase out the bad currency. And that is the flip to Gresham's law, which is Fear's law, right? And now it's not like a competition. It's a complementary to Gresham's law, because it's saying once the bad currency that is in use, so basically like the dollars today, once it has completely failed, then the good currency can come in. All right, so we have the BRICS nations who then forcefully, they say, well, no, we can do this another way. We can just create laws, right, that say, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to use your currency. We're only going to use our currencies or our own sovereign currencies or whatever the like. Now, this is great for the individual who is the exporting nation, right? Because what it really comes down to is the industriousness of whoever is within that little community of people who decide that they're going to exclude themselves from the rest of the world. Now, the most industrious one of them is going to do really well because they're going to export all their stuff and they're going to import all the money and efforts of everybody else, right? And then what's going to happen is their standard of living is going to increase. Now, the problem with using just that currency is that it's not easy free flowing, right? Because now you think about it, like you're going to use the sovereign currency of one nation, but another nation may not accept it. Think about like when India and China, or not India and China, India and Russia were doing oil deals, right? India's buying all this Russian oil, and they're using rupees. All of a sudden, Russia ends up with a crap ton of rupees. And they're looking at all these rupees going, well, nobody else wants rupees but India, right? And India's like, yeah, don't you want to invest back with us? And Russia's like, no, we want to buy stuff from all these other people over here, but they don't want rupees. So now how do I deal with this as a Russian? Right? As Russia, you would have to take those rupees and sell them, right? Sell them out there for whatever currency it is from the nation that you want to go and do deals with. Well, by selling those rupees, you are literally causing the price of them to fall. Like the exchange rates would diminish and you would not get as much value out of it. So this doesn't work out very well for this nation who has just done all these deals in their own sovereign nation. Had they just done dollars, then everybody would have been accepting of it. You see how this is operating? This is why I don't look at the BRICS nations as a complete threat, because they have to work through all these problems. All right. Well, let's take, for example, all right, one of these nations is going to compete against the United States. They are going to provide the world with the common use currency. Okay, how does that look? How does that look that this nation is going to do this that's not the United States? All right, because there's going to have to be somebody else. Now, what nation out there is really in a position in which that they are going to be willing to do what the United States has done? And that is go into an incredible amount of debt. You know why they go into a lot of debt? It's because they're providing the world with the safe and liquid asset of the U.S. Treasuries. How are they able to do that? Because they have the world's confidence that they are going to actually get paid by buying U.S. Treasuries. Nobody else carries that. Nobody carries that belief of China or Russia or India or anybody else out there. They really only care about the United States Treasury, and they don't care about anything else. And now that's a very prestigious position to be in, and not one that's going to be easily knocked off of its pedestal. And I don't care how many articles you read about how all these nations are dumping U.S. treasuries. None of those articles seem to articulate about how much dollar-denominated bond debt, that exists within these foreign nations who are selling off these U.S. treasuries. When it comes time for these bonds to come due, they're coming due in dollars. How do you come up with the dollars if you are not trading your goods and services for them? You're going to have to sell off your dollar-denominated assets. U.S. treasuries. This totally makes sense to me in a dollar liquidity issue. When you have quantitative tightening coming out of the Federal Reserve, who is reeling in the dollars, right? And you have a situation in which that the demand for dollars to pay off debt that was issued outside of the United States. This doesn't have anything to do with the United States. It didn't have anything to do with our banks or governments or people or corporations, nothing, right? But this creates a huge demand for dollars. This is dollar-denominated debt outside of the United States. It's very important to understand this stuff, because if you miss it, then you're gonna be wondering why it is that the Federal Reserve is having so many issues right now trying to provide the world with the liquidity that they need, because trying to find the assets to purchase in order to provide the liquidity is going to be very dangerous to the United States if they continue to go into debt. Right? Like it is so clear to me, like it is so, like, almost to the point of obvious that I know at some point in the future the Federal Reserve is going to have to pull all the cash out of the system and go into a central bank digital currency of some sort, whether it's stable coins or something that they issue themselves, and they're going to have a negative interest rate, because this whole monetary policy going through the forward guidance signaling jawbone incredible threat will eventually come to an end, as people will no longer listen to them or believe them anymore. Yeah. Good times, yeah? What else? What else would prevent the BRICS? So you would have to have a nation being able to go into deepest debt as the United States. Issuing out a safe and liquid asset like the U.S. Treasury is not going to happen, right? Then they would also have to go into deficit trade, meaning that they import far more than they export in order to import the stuff and export the currency. Like, this is what the United States does that no other nation comes even close to doing. It's why it's like when people say that the dollar is going to fail, and I'm thinking, yeah, not yet, not yet, not even close. It's like so far away from failure. Only because it would take a competition. It would take something else that would beat it. When it does fail, it'll probably fail quite quickly, right? But I don't see that happening, not yet. Yes, I would agree with you. 40 years ago, what does the U.S. do now? Screws down here. I'm not sure where that quote. Okay, here we go. This hit the bottom. The global economy has left the chat. See Ripple. Yeah. Enjoy the live stream. Can you speak more on the housing market? I'm potential first-time home buyer and would like to hear your thoughts. Over 60% of American home ownership. When you're the reserve, adding a couple of zeros is okay, right? Timcast. Germany is 49%. Long live the empire. Hello from Switzerland, the land of the banks and fine cheese. Who's in worse shape, America or Europe? Broomstick, I would recommend one rental at a time channel. Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Thank you, All Nighter. I would too. Like I just had a conversation with Mike Zuber, and dude is super cool. Like he wants people to succeed. Like he literally does. And it's funny because talking to me, sometimes I think he gets a little frustrated because I think I'm just a little too honest with him, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Poor people aren't going to be able to buy houses. Rich people own houses. That's all there is to it. And I mean, it's like the way it's going to be because I've read this Cantillon essay that says, so long as you have new money coming into the system, you're going to have a separation between the rich and the poor. And there's no better evidence of abundance of money being in the system than the rents and leases that people are paying on property. It's all right there. Like it's clear. It's like, nah, damn. That sucks. That sucks for people who haven't gotten into a house yet. But understanding that's the situation is your benefit because now you have to do something different. You're going to have to team up with somebody. You're going to have to house hack. You're going to have to do something that is different from what everybody else is thinking that they have to do in order to get into a house. And that's the important part to understand. Like if you can get into a house, then you will have essentially the position of being on the other side of the wedge. Yeah. And that's like, it is so critical to get there. The older you get, the harder it is to get on that side of the wedge. The younger you, like I was talking with somebody and I'm like, you're just turned 21. I said, you have no idea from all the things that I have learned about the economy, how awesome youth is for investing. Like it is by far the greatest gift that anybody could ever possibly have given if they choose to invest is the fact that they are young. Like if you are young, you got it. You have got so much opportunity. You have got all the world's possibilities ahead of you like nobody else has, but you have to be young because you need time. Right? And that's one thing that somebody who's at 47 years old doesn't have. Like by the time you figure it and get it, it's like, man, I got the time and I'm an ancient old man. I can't enjoy nothing. Like, what's the point? Right? It's like, what's the point? I should be enjoying it now, not trying to figure out how to enjoy it in 40 years. So again, like, if you're young trying to get in, that's my thoughts on housing, Silver is shooting up like crazy. Your views? Yeah, I like silver. I mean, I'm into silver, and the silver manipulation game that's been playing just only leaves a lot of room for silver to move. Silver needs to go up to $50 an ounce before I'll get even remotely excited about it, right? Because that's the all-time high that it achieved way back in the early 80s, So it's got a long ways to go. And then if you think about it at a 10-to-1 ratio to gold, really it should be around $240. So silver has so much potential to move. I mean, it has got all the potential in the world. And when you think about it, silver is kind of like gold's evil little cousin because it is so much more volatile than gold is. And when it gets on the move and it starts to run, it's going to run like crazy. Right? And you might see it run right past 50. And if it does, the speculation into the market is probably going to go nuts and you're going to see it really take off from there. So the potential of going from $50 to $240 an ounce is, I mean, I would not dismiss that at all. I think that is a very likely potential. Am I counting on any of that? Nope. Don't care. I literally do not care. Actually, I do care. If it goes up to $240 an ounce, I'll probably sell some. But for the most part, I don't anticipate it, and I don't even think about it. The only thing I really think about is how do I can get more ounces. That's the only thing I really care about. And I don't care about what my dollar cost averaging is anymore, like how much I average into it, because I really don't know. Like even I would only be guessing at this point, so I just don't care. I just, every once in a while I pick up a few more pieces and I drop it in there whenever I can. And that's my view on silver. And if there ever came a time in my life in which that I felt like I was stuck and I needed an emergency fund, I have something there. It's outside of the banking system, outside of that third party claim. It's, it's something that gives me like that insurance policy feeling. And that's the way I feel about silver. Like, is there the potential to go? Yeah, you bet. I mean, you think about it, it's just like, I mean, there's such small amount of silver in existence out there that the room for speculation to drive the prices to literally thousands of dollars an ounce is prevalent. It's like it's there. It's like I can see that happening. But I don't know. I've been waiting a long time for anything to happen within silver market, and it's like I'm done like trying to be excited about that kind of thing. Like load up as much as you can. That's still comfortable feeling. Like I wouldn't put I mean, I at one time I was all in on silver, so it's taken me a long time to build up other assets that can, that are equivalent to my silver holdings, which is now, pretty much everything else I got going on. But still, it was like, it's a long road. And it's just a matter of just not, it's like literally a matter of not caring so much about it. Just load up as much as you can, as often as you can. And at the end of it, it's not a matter of how much it's worth. It's a matter of how many ounces you got. I have never lost money on real estate. I did. Man, I lost my ass. All right, phone died earlier. Not sure if he got around to it. Mr. Horology. I'm not sure what that one was. All right, love your ambition, Crypto Beauty. Oh, what did Crypto Beauty have to say? Oh, here it goes. I was never taught about finance and or investing like most. Had to learn on my own and educate myself the best I can, and now I consume as much content as I possibly can. That's how you do it. That is exactly how it's done. I'm fortunate to have done well in crypto over the past couple of years, and I'm going to be buying a house soon, 27. Will kick myself if it does crash since I'm going to be making a huge down payment, but doesn't. I think you'll be all right, Mark. I mean, just, follow some of these other real estate guys and listen to what they have to say about how it is that they're picking out real estate. I had the same feeling. Like, I mean, it's crazy to think right now that when I went to buy this house, I thought I was buying a house that was not only overpriced, but then I was putting all my money, like literally all my money, into a house that was going to go underwater. Like, talk about tearing me up. I mean, that's literally what I thought was going to go down. I was going to put all my money till I had no more money in the bank. I had $300 left over at the end of my down payment. That's how much money I had in my checking account. And I thought right after that, as soon as I put my money down on this house and go to move in, that it's immediately going to go underwater. And that's what I had contemplated and believed was going to take place when I bought my house. That did not happen. That is not what happened. In fact, it went completely the other way and has gone up dramatically in price. So much so that literally 20% has come out of the price of the house, and it's still $100,000 more than what I paid for it. Like, I have, I don't know, 125, well, let me see, what is it? Over $120,000 equity in the house right now. If it, according to the ZELLE estimate, which I know isn't exactly accurate, but still, it's over 100 grand in 2 years. Holy crap. Like, no way. That, right? And it was more than that at one point. Like last year, it was even more. So I don't know how to give you any other advice other than everybody that I have ever talked to about buying real estate has had incredible amount of anxiety doing it. Like every one of them, including like Matthew, lumberjack landlord. He said like the very first house that he bought, he felt like all the same types of frustrations and fear and everything else like I was describing just now with what I had. He said he felt like the same level of anxieties and stuff when he was buying his first house. And then he said that's the way he felt when he was buying his 40th house. Right? He says it doesn't go away. He said after that, he says it starts to dissipate some. But you think about it, from the first house to the 40th house, he still held the same amount of anxiety and frustrations when it came to buying real estate, not knowing how the outcome was going to be. Right? I think that's just the nature of it. Right? And so, just kind of know that you're going to have that sort of thing going on when you're going to, into buying into real estate. Looks like the family made it back. What's happening, dude?
I'm starting a coin collection.
You're starting a coin collection? What'd you buy? Look at this. We're live here.
I got a 1960 and a Thailand 1950.
A 1950, cool. So this one's an Indian head, right? Penny?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Did you buy these from Scott?
No, we went to the Grange sale.
Oh, you went to the Grange sale. Very cool. Well, let's show these guys. So he picked this one up. How much did you pay for it?
That one was
Was that the $1.75?
Yeah, that was $1.75. And I bought this one for,
And this is a Thailand?
Yeah, and I bought that one for $1.
For $1. All right. Well, these are cool. All right. I like it. Freddie has collections. You got your baseball card collection and your coin collection. You get yourself a new phone?
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. All right. Well, I'll be in just a minute. Yui, what's your view on Dave Ramsey? I'm not a fan of Dave Ramsey so much that I've listened to him a few times, and I agree with a lot of the things that he says about like getting out of debt and things like that. But I listened to him one time talk about. Well, here's the thing. Like I try to look at things from the point of view of where I have pretty much been my whole life, which is not a lot, right? I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of income. I don't have a lot of things going on. I don't have like all this stuff, right? And so most people are sitting in that position where they just don't have a lot. Now, granted, over the last few years with the building of the YouTube channel and stuff, things have changed for me, but I do have a very good understanding considering that up until I was about 45 years old, I didn't really have anything going on, right? Or as much going on as far as like, what I could be doing now. Anyhow, so I'm listening to Dave and I'm listening for some practical advice as somebody who's like literally don't know what to do. Like I'm lost here, right? I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm listening to him say that gold is stupid. I'm listening to him say that it's a good idea to buy a house as long as it doesn't take more than, I forget, like a certain percent of your income and you have 20% down on this house. And I'm listening to him and I'm like, I don't know a single person who can do any of this stuff that he talks about, except for maybe work your way out of debt. So I couldn't find any practical advice that I could take from Dave, and I felt more insulted listening to him than I did because of the things that I was doing. He was disagreeing with. Mainly, it was like the idea of holding gold and silver as an insurance policy. So I don't know. I didn't have much like for his information or anything that he was really having to say, except for the part about getting out of debt. Wow, look at all these comments. Okay, cruise back up here a little ways. All right, buying a home today, you are giving a person you are buying it from a profit and eating that time. Nice coins. I collected stamps and coins as a kid. Right on. Cool dad, cool kid. Yeah. Freddie is the coolest. Freddie went and so yesterday, we practiced just for, I don't know, a couple hours, just bunting in the backyard, so I was pitching him the balls and he was just bunting. and laying down bunts. And we just did that over and over and over again. And he kind of got tired of bunting. And I'm like, well, you can kind of swing, but don't swing hard because you're going to smash out one of my windows or anything. We're not really in an area that you can smash balls. But he was just like, just kind of tapping them as they came in. He was just like, we were just playing around. But I think that little bit of practice that we were doing yesterday, it wasn't a little, it was actually quite a bit, an hour or more. But just that practice, he went out and did the batathon today and killed it. He won the batathon 180 feet, totally like hit it farther than anybody else on his team, and won the batathon, and he was super proud of himself for doing that, and I was proud of him as well. I mean, he did a great job. So Freddie's sitting on a little bit of a high right now. And Dave loves some George Camelote. Cameloto. Okay, but all gold in the U.S. has a troy ounce of gold in it, and it's just maybe heavier to make more durable for circulation, copper and silver added. Young, uneducated salutes. All right, this group is filled with great information. Appreciate you and you guys and gals. Yeah, Mr. Horology, this channel, and I know probably everybody feels that way about their YouTube channel, but I really honestly feel like I have the best comment section on YouTube. Like, we really try to break this stuff down in a way that is easily to understand, and not to mention like the questions that we have get opinions from all over, right? I mean, not only all over the world, but from all over the spectrum of like understanding economics. Like, people have, high level of degrees and professions who watch this channel and actually, share their information with the channel. A lot of times those people disagree with me, and a lot of times they're just absolutely amazed by some of the stuff that I was able to come up with and understand. Like, to the point that he was just like, I've had people like email me going, dude, you do not realize the high level office that I work in, and you have far more understanding of what the Fed is doing and economics than most of the people that I'm working with. And I think to myself, dang, that is scary. Like, I mean, wow, right? And I don't think these people are just yanking my chain. I mean, I guess they could be, but wow, you're like, Jesus. I don't know about that. All right. Health can be maintained, youth not so much. That's right. Certain debts are good at the right time in your life. 75% of my net worth came from good investment using debts, and 25% of my net worth came from my hard work. Now that I'm 50s, no debts now. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. If you can work hard to acquire a position in which that you can use debt to earn money, man, that is the way to go about it. That is capitalism at its finest, I'm sure anything being minted today does have a troy ounce of gold in it, but pre-33, 20 Double Eagle had 0.96 troy ounces. Will do once I get money back. I lost in Vegas last night. All right. How important a father's role is in son's life is priceless. Yeah, it really is. And I'm starting to learn a lot more about that. And, it's just like, it was one of the reasons why I felt like I really had to buy the house is that, Freddie's growing fast, right? And it isn't going to be too much longer, and he's going to be grown up, and it's going to be over, right? As far as raising him, he'll be on his own, and hopefully I will have given him the right understanding, the right feelings, the right knowledge, and the right, drive in order to take him from the time he is 18 to, to carry him on through the rest of his life. And the experience that he has right now is one shot. I got one shot at doing this right. And I don't have to be in this house the entire time. But right now, it's important for him. And if it takes everything that I got in order to make this happen for him, then that's what it's going to do. I mean, it's not that hard to make it happen for him for this time. Like, it is tough, right? But I know I don't have to do it for the rest of my life. I just have to do it long enough for him to get through this part of it. After that, I can do whatever, man. I can go live in a van down by the river. I don't care, right? But having a house with his own room, you know, same thing for Mac. Mac is quiet. Mac is my older son. I hardly ever talk about him. He's very quiet, you know. He keeps to himself. He's the artist type, you know. He enjoys, you know, his alone time. He's a very introverted person, you know, very much like me outside of the extreme things that I do that are extroverted, right? But for the most part, I keep very quiet. I keep to myself. I don't, you know, I'm not really, you know, the very social person every single day going out there and have this huge network of friends and stuff like that going on. That's not me. Right. So Mac is very much on that side of me. Freddie's on the, you know, the extroverted side of things. He really likes being out there. He likes being engaged with all kinds of, you know, activities and events and people and all kinds of things that are happening out there. So, you know, this is what you got to do, right? And then once they're on their own, then hell, I can go back to doing whatever the hell I want to do. But for right now, having a big front yard, having a nice quiet neighborhood, you know, having his own room, being able to go to school at the same school with the same friends from, you know, the day that he starts till the day that he graduates. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff, right? Pretty cool. Thank you for the super chats. We got Barack Shawazori. Thank you for the $2. Hi, Yui. What if they have tracking chips in gold bars? Well, are you thinking like maybe little RFID chips that they can track where those gold bars are and everything else with them? Well, I would take them to a mint and trade them for ones that don't have them. I don't know, like that. I don't know. My level of concern of that is pretty low. I mean, I don't even think I really think about that. Excuse me. But, you know, I mean, I guess it could be a possibility. I'm not like worried about government and coming down on me. Like I'm not worried about New World Order stuff. I'm not worried about confiscations. I'm not worried about, you know, anything like that. In fact, my level of concern about most things out there is very low. Like my biggest level of concern is making sure that I stay motivated and stay on my path and you know and keep pursuing the excellence and making sure I don't screw up, you know, like by following to, you know, pleasure, like trying to fall into like pleasurable experiences and not, you know, focusing in on what it is that I really need to do with my life. Those are the things that I find concern with, you know. But you know, as far as like government coming down on me or like anything like that, I don't. I just don't even think about it much. Yeah. All right, $4.99. Thanks to Trumponomics, my friend got from McDonald's. Now I can't get free food. F Trump. What? I don't even know what that means. All right. Thanks to Trumponomics, my friend got fired. Oh, fired. Okay, from McDonald's. Now I can't get free food. F Trump. Okay, now I get it. That's pretty funny. All right. Thank you for the $4.99. That's pretty funny. All right, van down by the river is more funny coming from Simon, who is by a river. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could really see. Honestly, I could see Sarah and I like in a really badass, like maybe camper van, like maybe one of those smaller RVs, and doing uneducated economists from the road, like just blasting across the country, just doing wherever, and not have any ties to anything anywhere, right? Like I would find that a very liberating feeling to be able to do something like that, to know that I could do an income of like YouTube channel kind of stuff, and be able to go and travel the world and go and visit and meet with people and do speaking engagements and stuff like that. I mean, holy crap, talk about a dream life, man. That would be it. And if I could do that somehow in like 10 years, right? 10 years from now, have that sort of life going on, which I don't think is too far out of the realms of possibility. I think that that would be it. Like, I don't need to go and earn some, $10 million doing something. Like, I don't even understand what I would do with it. Like, I could go and travel and have fun and eat nice foods and like buy some toys or something. But like, I don't have this weird ambition inside of me to go and earn $10 million. Like, there's people out there who want that. They want to drive the Bugatti and they want to have like, the private jets and they want to be able to, you know, drink champagne with, famous rich people or something like that. And I mean, hanging out with rich people might be cool if the right people and they're fun to meet. But I don't have any of that ambition. Like that's not like I don't know. I don't find that. I don't know what would be appealing about that. I guess is where I'm kind of getting at. Like I don't know what that would be fun for. Yeah. So it might be fun for a minute. It might be an exciting life for a little bit to have those new experiences, but that's not necessarily the life I want to live. Like I want to live a life that is easy, something that's easy to do. Go and visit people that you want to visit, pay your bills on time, get to go speak at the Rebel Capitals. I think I'm living my dream life. I think I already am. Like, outside of having the minivan and cruising around or the mini RV and cruising around with Sarah, I think I'm already kind of living my dream life. All right, moving on here. Thank you guys for all these super chats, man. You guys are so awesome. Freddie's first car fund. Well, thank you, Gerald. That's really cool of you, man. All right, thanks, Gerald. Says all nighter. All nighter says smoke that like Cheech and smoke that thumbs up like Cheech and Chong. We got 149 likes with $40.95 in super chats because you guys are always so generous with those super chats. Thank you for hitting that like button. More like button we hit, the more the algorithm will pick up the video to spread it around for more people to join in. We're an hour and a half into this, so it's already kind of a long video, but we're having a lot of fun, so you should feature on Joe Rogan. Yeah, it would be fun to do a Joe Rogan podcast. I'd like to go on there. You need a schoolie? What's a schoolie? Stay curious. Are you speaking from experience? What was that question from? Stay curious. Well, an RV is much better than a van. Laugh out loud. Living in a Dodge van from 1993. Not fun. Yeah, I can hear you, man. I mean, I'm not like I would want to be doing it by choice, not by requirement, right? That's the difference inside of it is that I would very much want to be doing it by choice. And if I did it right and was actually smart with my business and doing things, then I could probably lease an RV every couple of, once a year, every other year or whatever, write it off on taxes, use it as the, business expense for doing Uneducated Economist and not even really have like a whole lot of like worries about what it is that I have for a vehicle since I would probably be shifting through them, pretty regularly. Like that would be again part of my dream life. Anyway, moving on. $5 from Barrick. Thank you so much. What if recent inflation is a trap? Everyone buys high, then crash it. Since deflation was the Fed problem and easier to happen for them. What? Well, I mean, I don't like. I'm not sure exactly to what benefit it is outside of the elite being able to harvest the poor for their assets to have like a deflationary scenario. Like I'm not exactly sure where the benefit is outside of that. Like, yeah, I can get it that, this particular opportunity does great for these rich elitist people who have the cash on hand to do it. But I don't know where it is inside of the Federal Reserve system and their banking system that it makes it like a benefit for them to have a crashing of the system or a crashing of the housing market. Like I understand that there's a lot of people out there who have that sort of feeling and then they put out information that kind of backs that idea, but I don't see it. Like I don't know where that is. Like to me, if I was in the banking industry the way that I understand the Federal Reserve, I would want you in debt making your payments. Like, I wouldn't want you to not make your payments. I wouldn't want a crashing system, because if I had a crashing system, that means I wouldn't be making be getting made the payments that you are doing, right? Like, that would be a problem, the crashing of the system. That would not be a benefit. So when I hear these people say, like, they want you broken in debt, and then they're going to harvest you for all your, all your assets. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, there's probably people out there who are going to do that, who can take advantage of that situation and know that it is a possibility and is coming. But is that really being set up to be done? I don't think so. Like, I don't think I think it's kind of like a feature of the system that is not something that can be prevented, although they try to prevent it as much as they can, right? And then when it happens and people take advantage of it, they want to cast blame. They want to say, okay, you did this, you caused it, you must be in charge of making this happen. And it's more of like, an event that has taken place that other people are taking advantage of. All right, we got another one there. City Star Productions, thank you so much for the $4.99. If the gold standard isn't good, I didn't say it isn't good, right? I just said it wasn't going to work. And the debt cycle isn't good. It's not good, because it doesn't work either. Then what is? Nothing. Nothing's good. Do we just have to pick our poison, or is there a solution? No, there's no solution. There is no fixing the problem. There is no solution. Gold standard, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't work. And the fiat currency, debt-based currency, there's nothing wrong with it. And it doesn't work either. And the reason why it doesn't work is because neither one of them are everlasting, because there is economic forces that are underlying that will then eventually create a situation in which that the shifting dynamics of manufacturing and distribution and imports and exports will occur. Like, you cannot stop that from changing. All right. So the moment that you have an industrious people, like, I will explain it again. Like, if you have to internalize this, right? This is something that is like gravity. It's like an economic force that is very naturally occurring, like gravity, like tides, like the sun coming up and down every day, right? This is something that is not going to change. It is not something that is created or anything else like that. It is an economic force, and it has to do with human nature. It has to do with the way that we conduct ourselves once we have acquired money. When you are an industrious people, when you have good ideas, when you are working hard, when you are producing and saving, you are going to create a situation in which that your standard of living is going to increase, no matter what. I don't care how far back in history you go. I don't care who it is that you're looking at. I don't care what religion or people or anything else. If you are a producer, saver, and you start increasing your standard of living, that is a move into luxuries. That move into luxuries is then going to raise the prices. Once the prices have moved up, foreign competition starts to come in. Domestic manufacturing leaves. This is going to occur if you're on a fiat standard, if you're on a gold standard, if you're on a crypto standard, if you're on any kind of currency standard. Anything that gives you the ability to import stuff and export money is going to create this situation, right? So no matter what you have, if you have an industrious people who have increased their standard of living, who are moving into luxuries, they are going to find the foreign production moving in, domestic manufacturing moving out. That is the problem. The move into luxuries. Right there. That simple step from becoming a producer, saver, hardworking, dedicated American person who wants to enjoy their life, increase their standard of living, have a big front yard, have a house to live in, have a new Camaro to drive, eating 2 ribeyes, is the reason that there is a problem. Right? That is. Nothing else. Right? Everything else before that was awesome. Hardworking, dedicated, saving, producing, all that stuff is awesome. Every bit of it. Higher standard of living? Moving to luxuries? Bad idea. In comes the foreign production, out goes the domestic manufacturing. You're done. That's it. Like, I mean, it's just like, soon as you get to that point, being a producer saver, awesome. But the moment that you want to enjoy it, you're done. It's over, right? You want to know? Okay, it kind of no, never mind. That's the way it works, right? I'm not gonna go any further. I'm about ready to say something I probably shouldn't. All right, here we go. Crypto Beauty. Rogan isn't mainstream. There's plenty of truth on YouTube that isn't mainstream. I can tell you, I have never been silenced in the sense that they have removed a video of mine. Never once have I had a video removed. I have had them demonetized, which in a sense feels like I'm being censored, but that's not the case. My video still made it out there. It's still just as, available to the public as any other video I have, but the algorithm didn't spread it and I didn't get paid from it, right? So it's kind of like censoring. They're like, hey, if you want to make videos like that, then you're not part of our game. You're not part of our team, right? See, if I'm a good Googler, if I'm good at spreading the information that Google wants me to spread, I'd probably be a millionaire right now on YouTube, right? If I was to fall into what the algorithm wants to spread, and I was to spread that information, which I can kind of see what it is that they want me to spread. Like, I can see it in my Google feed, and occasionally I think I do it. Like, I mean, it's just like I kind of fall into that feed, and all of a sudden I see, like, Google is spreading my stuff around, and I realize, oh man, I'm spreading propaganda, right? Like, I've been Google-fied, but then I got paid from it. So it makes kind of sense on why that is working like that. And, and like, I'm recognizing that. I don't know how many people recognize it when they're making their videos or doing anything else, because I see a lot of people who are against the system who totally benefit the system with the information that they spread. Like, totally benefit the Federal Reserve by the information that they were putting out there was 100% in benefit to the Federal Reserve, right? People like me, who's being called a Fed shill, is actually spreading information that could destroy the Federal Reserve. Like, if everybody was to know the information that I'm spreading, I don't think the Federal Reserve could exist. Like, I think it would literally come to an end. People would be like, your credible threat theories, are just like not working for you anymore. It's just like, it's over. And that's, I mean, I believe that. All right, where are we at here? Dang, Brody keeps jumping past your comments. Okay, where's Brody's comment? Let me go find it. Hey, Brody. Okay, I'm sorry, bro. Okay, it says, hey, Simon, would you please elaborate on your comment that the economy is the mechanical version of consciousness? Yeah, okay, well, we have to understand, like, the esoteric thinking of expanding your consciousness and to understand that we are all a single energy. You don't actually exist. You out there are just a figment of my imagination, and my reality is an illusion of my thoughts and feelings on the inside, and that we are all just a single energy living through this universe, right? Now, I know that sounds crazy and weird and all the other stuff, but when you really start to think about that, it starts to make sense on a vibration level, right? And now, here's what's really weird about it, is that understanding how it is that you are thinking and feeling on the inside then has a direct reflection of what it is that you experience on the outside. So if, for example, you are feeling negative about yourself, you're feeling negative about your outcome, you're feeling negative about your family, you're feeling negative about your friends, you're feeling negative about all these things, you are probably going to find yourself in a very depressive state, right? I mean, that's just like, it's probably going to be pretty obvious. And the conversations that you have with people is talking about how the traffic was horrible, and everybody, everybody's road raging against it and all this other stuff, right? Because that's the direct reflection of what you're going to experience. You don't get the good deals, you don't have any luck in your life, you don't have any positive connections, right? But then if you think and feel differently on the inside, and you can recognize this easier on people who have positive energy, because as soon as they walk into the room, you feel it. Right? You're like, you walk into a room and somebody's in there and they're like, they look at you, they smile, they haven't even said anything, and man, it feels good. It's just like, all right, man. And not only does it feel good that they smiled when they saw me, because now my energy feels like, feels like it's being welcomed, right? And the next thing you know, you're having great experiences and all kinds of awesome things are starting to happen, and the good luck is starting to come your way, and all the wonderful things are happening in your life, right? Because you're getting this direct reflection of what it is you're thinking and feeling on the inside. Okay. Now, when it comes to the mechanical version of consciousness, right, you have to think everything is interconnected. Very much like that energy that you're feeling from the negative person or the positive person that is out there, every single thing in the world is connected. It's connected with the vibration, it's connected with an experience of how it got there and how you got there to meet at this exact moment. And again, this is really difficult to wrap your head around if you've never heard anybody speak like this before. But ultimately, what it comes down to is that the experience that you are having at the exact moment took the entire world simultaneously working together, doing what it is that they are doing in order to make this event happen. And even though it doesn't seem to include anybody else out there, it does, right? The things that you were doing in your life is the reason why I am able to have these blue dice sitting here right now. And that's what's crazy to think about, is that is literally the case. In that if you weren't where you were, how these dice got here, or even if the dice even made it here, would be different. Everything in this world is connected in that fashion, right? To think about how everybody simultaneously had to work all together to create the environment to give me the ability to be able to drink this here pop, right? That's how the economy really works. So now you have to carry this inner vibration of a higher level. If you carry the negative vibration, all the things that have negative vibration within it then start coming towards you, because that's the energy that you're carrying. If you carry the energy of positive, right? Positive things, and you carry the feelings and thoughts and understandings of where it is that you want to be in your life. I want to be the person who is on stage speaking. The universe starts finding the way to get that to me. I didn't look for it. I wanted it in my life, and I said, this is the feelings that I believe I have to have in order to acquire these things in my life. I don't have to look to it. The world is full of abundance. There is abundance of speaking engagements out there. I have access to them from the universal vibrations that I carry within myself. And if I feel it, then I will believe it. And if I believe it, then it will naturally occur, because that's the way I am. And that's the abundance that the universe wants to bring. And it will come to me if I just carry that vibration. And it happens. Like, I can't explain it. It is literally like magic, right? But once you understand it, it's literally about the vibrations, right? Everything carries it. You carry it, right? The car carries it. Everything carries a vibration. This is proven. This is like not even like a crystal grip and hippie bullshit. This is proven through, scientific research. Every single item in the entire world has a vibration within it, right? And now you have to align yourself within the vibrations of the universe that align to the things that you want and believe that, are deserving of your life, right? And you have to truly feel that way. And you have to feel it. And by feeling it, the world starts to come towards you. And so the mechanical version of consciousness is literally that, to understand that everything has this vibration within it. And that in order to acquire these things to you, you have to carry the vibration that is most magnetic to the things that you want in your life. If you carry an energy of like, I don't have it, I need it, I want it, right? That's a negative energy. The energy that you should be carrying is, I already have it. It's already there. It's already abundant. It's in my life. It exists, right? Speaking engagements exist in my life. Boom. 2 weeks later. Okay, you got a speaking engagement. Oh, man, really? Uh-oh. I don't know. Really? Yeah, that's the way it is, because I really feel like I'm a speaker. At speaking engagements, at seminars. That's the way I feel, And now the universe feels it too. And they're like, here you go, here's speaking engagements for you. And so that's like That's the secret to everything out there. You know, it doesn't matter what it is you want. You want money, you want house, you want relationships, you want traveling, you want, anything you want, the whole world, right? You can have it. It's all there. It's about what it is that you're feeling, right? The energy that you are putting out there to the world is a direct reflection of what it is that you're thinking and feeling, right? Not Your Problem, $9.99. Thank you so much. Reminds me of the novel called The Alchemist by author Paulo Coelho. There is a line that says something like, "The whole world conspired for you to be here today. Have a good day. Take care." Yeah, that's exactly it. Not Your Problem. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, that's literally what it comes down to, is that, I think about some of the simplest things that have happened in my life that absolutely completely changed my outcome. Meeting George Gammon, it came from a shout out that I had done on a video, but it was even more than that. It was a comment from a previous video that I had done that somebody had commented on saying, "Hey, you got to check out George Gammon." So now I don't even know what the video was about. But if I hadn't talked about that particular item or by that particular subject that day, and I didn't get that comment and I didn't read that comment, I would not be here at this house today. I would not be living this life. Literally, somebody out there in the universe, I have no idea who it was, said, "You should check out George Gammon." Changed my life. Absolutely changed everything about what I got going on. I don't even know if they know they did that. Right? My friend Brittany, right? She comes up. She puts her fist on my desk. She says, "Listen, dude, you're going to have to start a blog or a YouTube channel or something because nobody here understands what you're talking about and you're driving us crazy." Right? That day I started my YouTube channel. I didn't think anything was going to come from it. I literally did not think anything was going to come from that at all. But inside, I always wanted a YouTube channel. I always believed that I should have one. I dreamed of having a very popular YouTube channel that I could discuss economics with, and, that was it. That was what I had dreamed of. Right? Inside of me, it was there. Brittany that day was part of the universal powers who came up and said, "Bro, it's time." Right? She gave me permission to become a YouTuber, right? This is how quickly things change. When I look back on it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank God, oh my gosh, thank God that happened," and then I'm realizing, no, man, this is how the universe operates. This is the universal powers that come to you when you carry the right vibrations inside. If you believe that you are a YouTuber, even if you don't have a YouTube channel, but believe that you are one inside and have something to share that can bring value to this world, it will happen, right? It will happen. You have to do it. You have to put forward. You have to go for it, right? But then it exists. I could have easily not given George that shout out. I could have read that and say, like a lot of people, they give me all kinds of people, "Hey, go check out this person, go check out that guy," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I probably should, whatever." Right? And I usually, sometimes I check him out, sometimes I don't. That day I checked out George. That day I was impressed. The next day I did a video. Holy crap. Right? What a world. Let's see here. Dream it, live it, love it. Yeah, absolutely. Bush did it. So true. We need a good false flag to unite the world again. Toei was formed in his typing matrix as a living thumb. What was that? All right. I saw the sign and it opened up my eyes. It's a good life always. Crypto Beauty, maybe talk about your investment journey. Oh, there you go. I want to start a YouTube channel, but don't know what topic I would choose to speak on. Okay, well, Crypto Beauty, think about it like this. Do you have a passion, right? Do you have something that you really enjoy? Is it music? Do you enjoy knitting? Do you enjoy fishing? Do you enjoy doing taxes? Do you enjoy, what is it? Do you enjoy working out? Do you like health? Do you enjoy economics like I do? You know, there's something out there that is something that you really, really have a passion for. You drive, it's just like you might think that nobody else cares, right? You might think that nobody else cares about whatever it is that you believe is interesting to you, right? Or like, you know, not saying you're into it, but like, makeup, for example, right? I mean, I don't know. People say that there's all kinds of these makeup, putting on these makeup editorials and these, tutorials or whatever, and like all kinds of like saturation on side of like the videos as far as how to put makeup on. Don't matter. Start one on that if that's what you're into. You know why? It's because no matter how many videos that are out there that you feel are saturating the market, they're not yours. There is people out there who relate to you. That's why my channel does well in economics, is because people relate to me, right? They don't want to hear economics from, somebody else who's, got $100 million, 30,000 feet in the air on their private jet talking about how awesome, they're doing at at figuring things out. They want to hear it from a working class point of view perspective with some information that they could use that is useful, right? So that's my niche. That's what I followed. But you can do it with anything. Like if you are being helpful, useful, honest, bringing value, that's the most important part, is bringing some sort of value, right? And now there's perceived value and then there's actual value, right? There's like this perceived value, something like entertainment, and I'm not saying that entertainment is valueless or that it's only to, a perceived value, which it really is, but entertainment is, part of that, is like this perceived value. Then you have actual value, like how to change a flat tire, right? Figure it out. What is it that you have in your life that is something that really drives you, that you find a passion for? You follow that passion, put out the videos talking about it. Doesn't matter if they're good, doesn't matter if they're bad. It just matters that you put out a video. And what's going to happen is that in that video, you're going to figure out what it is that works and doesn't work. In the next video, you'll do more of what works and less of what doesn't work. And you'll keep doing that through your videos until you eventually get to a point that you have a YouTube channel with 535 subscribers and you've been putting out videos doing nothing but the dishes and vacuuming and making the bed. And that's what my wife did, right? Literally has a YouTube channel with 535 subscribers right now, of her videoing herself doing chores around the house. Right? And so when people are asking me, like, I don't know, man, I'd love to start a YouTube channel, but not quite sure of what it is I need to do. You need to be consistent to what it is that you have. Like if you're going to do a video, if you're going to do videos on fishing, stick to fishing, stick to like, outdoor sporting kind of things, be consistent on the style of videos you put out, right? You don't want to have different styles of videos. You want your audience to know and recognize what it is that you are putting out videos. Like they recognize me in the car with the dice and stuff like that. Like I stay consistent to the style of videos I make. Be consistent to the timing of them. It doesn't have to be every day like I do it, but once a week would probably be, good, a good place to start. So you do that and you put out videos consistently like that for a year, it will change your life. I guarantee you will have a whole different look as far as YouTube and what it is that it's going to do for you. You might even have a YouTube channel that takes right off and goes to 1 million subscribers. You never know, right? Because I never thought in a million years that as a broke ass dude sitting in a old vehicle talking about macroeconomics from a working class point of view would ever work on YouTube, but yet here it is, right? So all right, fishing and gopher gangs Gangs talking? Gang for GN for G stalking? Well, I don't know what that is. Right on. I need to fish, see? Fishing is so 1995. Oh, no way. Thanks for sharing. Who would have stayed curious? You guys are having your own conversation here. I'm missing it. Okay. Thanks, Simon. Hashtag gratitude. Yeah, you bet. Crypto beauty. This is something I would love to see more people doing. I see All Nighter's building his up. He's got his YouTube channel rolling, putting together videos, and it's all about practice. It's about doing it consistently, regularly, figuring out what it is that works and doesn't work, and continuing to build it. And my like another part of it is that I didn't have any expectations of success, right? I put out videos in the beginning almost like as if it was a personal journal. Like, I'm going to put out videos talking about some of the things that I was thinking about and recognizing within the economy, and I'll put the links down in there and just basically do a video just kind of describing some of my thoughts at the time. And I literally just said to myself, this will be your personal journal that you will share with other people who want to, like, share in any ideas or whatever. And that's like the considerations that I took. I didn't think about how to make money. I didn't think about how to get subscribers. I didn't think about any of that stuff at all. Like, I just let all that stuff go and didn't even care. And in fact, like the first time I got a video that got like 1,000 views, I almost deleted my entire channel. I was just like, whoa, that's way too many people. I can't have this. All right. Aloha from Hawaii. Hey, financial firefighters. Good to see you, man. Great seeing you in the Orat School community today. Yeah, man, that was a lot of fun. We did an interview with Mike Zuber this morning. I'm glad to see you caught that. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoy having conversations with Mike, especially because he's so knowledgeable about real estate. So it really challenges a lot of my ideas on what it is that I feel is happening within the monetary system and the Federal Reserve. And that's how you really do it. You have conversations, you share the ideas, you get different perspectives from different people to figure out what it is that's going on. And a lot of times I feel like I am missing out by not following more YouTubers out there, more economists that have some really, really good information. But I've committed myself to figuring this out on my own, to have my own information, to come up with my own thoughts, my own perspectives, and to share those with you guys from my point of view. And I'm gonna stick to that. I think it's working for me pretty well. And again, I'm coming up with ideas and thoughts that are so much different than I find a lot of other people doing. So, all right. Let me see here. Anyone else miss the mail call videos? Oh, speaking of which, very interesting. I forgot. I have a mail call, and this piece of mail actually showed up a while ago. And I'm not exactly sure who it was. Now, I'm pretty sure I know now. And I kept meaning to do a mail call video with this, and it kept slipping my mind. And then just now it just dawned on me that I had it stuck up in here. So that's how scatterbrained I am, guys. You would not believe it. Like, I can't keep track of anything. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show this part of it. So that whoever sent it to me can recognize the envelope. And we're going to find out what's in here. And I apologize because the person they had actually emailed me, and I thought it was something else that had to come to me that I thought that they had sent. And so, like, when I got the email and I got that package, I kind of related those two together. But then I'm realizing the email that I had gotten asking me if I had received the mail was actually talking about this letter, all right, or this envelope. and not that other package that I had received. So I know that's all kind of confusing, but anyway, we're gonna open this one up now for our mail call video. All right. Okay, it says, Dear Simon, enclosed, please find a small appreciation for you and your channel. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Sincerely. Can I say it? I want to say who it is, but I'm not sure if they want to remain anonymous or not. Oh, wow. That's cool. Check that out. It's 1 troy ounce. Is it silver? Is that what that is? Is it gold plated? Let me see, where are my glasses at? Fine iron. Neat. Federal Reserve note, Atlantis Mint, 1 troy ounce fine iron. Now that is something unique. I have never seen something like that before. That is so cool. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. What a neat piece to add to the collection. It was just like, how many people actually have fine iron, you know? That is so nice, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys know who this is too. They're a frequent commenter on the channel. So I really appreciate that. That is very cool of you. Thank you for taking the time to send that. And I'm sorry I didn't get to that letter earlier. I'm sure you were wondering where that went, and it did. It just kind of got lost in the mix of stuff that I had. So. Alright. Wow, I might know who that was. No, you know who it was, All Nighter. You definitely know. Alright, Colton, the best investment is investing in your own knowledge, skills, etc. to leverage and make money. I totally agree. And in fact, that's what I'm pretty much going towards right now, is that a lot of people ask me, what is it that I'm investing towards? And I'm going to invest towards me, getting that book or course off the ground and get moving on that and start, promoting and selling either one or both of those things, and do like speaking engagements to push that particular product. And that's what I want to do. Like, that's like, if I could earn, if I could earn 100 grand a year traveling around doing that, that would be it. That would be like my life. I would be totally content and happy with everything that I got going on if I could do something of that nature. And then like, that's like on the minimum scale, like, like I don't need much, just cruise around and do that. Alright, I'm gonna send you Chuck E. Cheese coins. They will be very valuable in the future. Excellent mail call. Yeah, thank you, Brody. Oh, well, it wasn't me, no. Alright, if they pop up here, I'm gonna thank them. Hey, there you are, Deja Vu. It definitely wasn't Cracker. No, I appreciate it. So thank you very much. I think that's very cool of you. And I know that you had sent the email saying, hey, you got a package coming, but I thought it was that other one. And this is cool. This is a very neat piece to add to the collection. In fact, I might even carry that around with me for a little while to show some people. All right. The positive vibes from mail call definitely vibrate. Yeah, there was a time when I got a lot, like when I first started the channel and people were really like, seeing me get off the ground, trying to see the channel get moving, seeing me get out of debt, get things rolling, and, kind of get up to another level on things. I was being sent so many packages and so much stuff, and it was just like I just couldn't believe it. It was literally like every week I was like getting all this fan mail in and reading like all kinds of letters and just having a great time. And it was almost like, I don't know, like I didn't even know quite how to describe it. And then it kind of just faded away. And then I get a letter every once in a while now. So it's cool, you know. Owen Benjamin gives you shout outs from time to time. Glad he put Toei onto this channel a long time ago. Oh, I guess you're Joe the Toe. Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Owen Benjamin is where I learned about UE. Yeah, the dude is super cool. I mean, I only had the one conversation with him that one time. We sent a few emails back and forth. But man, what a cool dude, you know? I mean, it was a wonderful interview, great conversation that we had. And I swear, every time he gives me a shout out, I get like, 300 more new subscribers. And so I really appreciate all the shout outs that he has given and the support for the channel and everything that, he's contributed just from the shout outs. It's just been, it's been a real blessing. Ironically, Chuck E. Cheese tokens will appreciate at some point when they antiques and collectibles. Well, eventually they'll appreciate just because of the weight value in metal. All right. How did they get your mailing address? Oh, Crypto Beauty, down in the description of pretty much every one of my videos, I have all kinds of ways that you can send me money and tip me and whatever, but then there's also my email address, which is really simple. It's uneducatedeconomist@gmail.com. And if you want, I will send it to you there, but right underneath that, I think it's right underneath my email address, is a PO box address, so you can find them right there. And the PO box address, what is it? Is it 731? PO Box 731, Astoria, Oregon 97103. I really like Owen Benjamin. He has some really interesting content. UE, is your booking going to come in audio? Or your book going to come in audio? I feel you could corner a good audience with it in that form. As of right now, I have what I feel is a couple of chapters of the book written. And I don't even know what it is that I'm trying to say within this book, or what it is that I'm trying to get this book to do. I think one of my problems is that I've never really read a book. You know, I mean, I've read books, but not that many books. So it's just like trying to write a book is like a little hard if you're not really into even reading books. And the same thing with courses. So I'm kind of stumbling my way through a lot of this stuff. Um, I will promote it and push it any way I can. If I can do it through paperback, hardback, ebook, audio, video, whatever, just like however I can get it out there and be able to possibly sell it, that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, at this point, just trying to get it written is the only thing I'm really focused on. Can the companies in the U.S. sell software and AI as an export to other countries? Could this substitute the manufacturing of old? I mean, I would imagine like there's ways that like like when I say that the United States is not a manufacturing powerhouse, it's not right, right? The United States manufactures a lot of stuff. We're still a manufacturing powerhouse. We just import far more than we export. That's the problem, right? It's not our industriousness. We're very industrious people. We know how to build stuff. We know how to do things. Our standard of living is high. That's a problem. We moved into luxuries. That's a problem. The reason that's a problem is because it's always going to be cheaper to manufacture in someplace else that has cheaper labor costs to people who haven't had a higher standard of living increase. That's the problems, right? And then there, like, I mean, will AI and automation and all this other stuff bring some sort of relief to manufacturing? Absolutely, it will. But you also have to think that the innovations and ideas that we incorporate here will be very short-lived, as other nations will incorporate them as well, and then it will be an equilibrium, right? It won't be any different whether it's manufactured here or there as far as the AI contributing to it, because they will have just the same amount of automation and stuff. And so whoever has the cheapest energy cost and transportation costs will be the winner, right? So it's better to understand it from that fashion, that it's more about that move into luxuries, that going from an industrious, hardworking, producing saver into a consuming, debting, like that shift, right? That moving from being a conservative mindset, fixing, not not buying into luxuries, shift into luxuries, problem, right? And there's no avoiding this. Like, this is the way it just goes down. You know? I mean, it would be great to theorize and come up with all kinds of wonderful concepts on how to deal with this, and this is really what politicians are doing, right? But until you accepted the idea that this is the major problem that exists, and the only way to really deal with it is to have like things like communistic pressures put down on the people to prevent them from moving into luxuries, I don't know what to do. Like, I literally could not give you any idea on what it is that you need to do to fix the situation, because I just don't believe it can be fixed. I think what it is that you need to figure out what it is that's happening and to position yourself accordingly to what is occurring. Not try to figure out a way to fix the system, because there is no fixing it. Right? There is other people out there who are going to try to fix the system. As they do that, they will either slow the rate of descent or expedite it. I mean, it's just like there's nothing they can do. It's just like that's the way it's going to go. And sure, you can slow the rate of descent, but it's not going to prevent it from the inevitable outcome, which will come that much faster, right? Once it does go. All right, the vehicles in high school parking lot blows my mind. Nobody really drove in high school for me at all. Maybe your mom's car. Cheap energy would go a long way in fixing the trade deficit. But that's, again, like, the cheap energy here would be eventually incorporated to cheap energy everywhere else. I mean, if that was the case, like when nuclear power was first hitting, then that should have saved us, right? Alrighty, guys. Well, this was a lot of fun. I don't know how much longer we should hang out. We're at 2 hours and 11 minutes into this. And do you accept Monero? I don't believe I have a Monero wallet up. That's one of them that I never did actually get set up. So, all right, you're the best, Simon. Yeah, thank you, Brody. I really appreciate you. Okay, guys, this was a lot of fun. We had 218 people watching, 215 people watching with 193 likes. I always appreciate you hitting that like button. The algorithm appreciates it as well. $65.93 in super chats, because you guys are always so generous with those super chats, contributing to the Uneducated Economist and watching the channel grow and watching me get into a new reality of life where I get out of that day-to-day grind of working 9 to 5 so I can eventually pursue a life of speaking engagements and selling books and doing seminars. And what a life, huh? What a life that would be. All right. You guys are the best. Uneducated Economist. Can't believe I've been here for 2 hours. Well, I can't believe you've been here for 2 hours too, Crypto Beauty. I really appreciate you doing that. Nice to see you, UE. Have a good week, bud. You as well, bud. All right. Have a great Sunday. Thanks, Simon and everyone. Always a good time. Yes, it was. All right. They removed the dot. Thank you, Simon. Best stream. Yeah, thank you, Crypto Beauty. You guys have a wonderful afternoon. Uneducated Economist, you let me know.